exploring minds through insightful conversation. This is the Ian Scotto Podcast.
Yo, what's good? Ian Scotto here, welcoming you to the Ian Scotto Podcast. And this isn't the actual podcast itself. This is the intro to the podcast to tell you what the podcast is going to be about. So we're going to be launching next month, April of 2013. The basic idea of the podcast is going to be that I want to put a spotlight on different people each week. I want to give them an outlet to let their story be told and to talk to me and just discuss things. Great radio to me is something that you learn something from or something that inspires you, and it's not contrived. It's not these typical interview questions that I hear from every interview I listen to of who inspired you and what drives you to do what you do. That's really, it gets boring in my opinion. I like to sit down with people and have the same discussion that I would have if we didn't have microphones in front of us. But I want to interview people that I find intriguing and people who have a really interesting story to tell that you're going to learn something from. So the first podcast I'll be doing, if all goes accordingly, is going to be with my friend Brandon Webb, who's a Navy SEAL sniper instructor, author of The Red Circle, and he also runs SOFREP. That's SOFREP.com. Really cool military website where you get to hear what the military is like from the perspective of guys who have served, people who were in the SEALs. And I feel like when you watch TV, unless you have these guys like Brandon Webb on, you hear so much about our foreign policy from people who really have nothing to do with it. They're just researchers and they've never been, on the front lines actually out there. So I think Brandon has a lot of interesting stuff to talk about and is also a really creative guy. So he'll be the first guest. I have a lot of other guests in mind. I don't want to spoil it all for you, but I will say this. Whether you know me from doing hip-hop or if you know me from, political talk radio, that's not where this is going to be coming from. I'm not narrowcasting to any group of people. I want to talk to anybody I find interesting. I want a podcast that everybody could find enjoyable from all walks of life. So that doesn't mean I'm putting aside my own perspectives on things and I'm just going to be this neutral observer. I, of course, have my biases and I, of course, have my own, I guess you could say, agenda, but I'm not trying to push that with this podcast. This is more speaking to people that you're gonna be excited by and learning from them, and maybe they'll learn from me, and you guys could get involved. So I don't necessarily know how to do a podcast. I'm starting completely from scratch, but I do know this. I do know how to do a radio show. So hopefully if people like the show itself, they're going to get the word out, and from there, more people will get the word out. And if enough people hear it and like it, the possibilities are endless, and that's the beauty of the internet. So spread the word. April 2013, we're going to be starting. That's next month. The Ian Scotto Podcast. Check out all the links in the description. I promise you guys are going to be very excited when you hear what's in store. So stick with me, and thanks for checking this out.